in the kitchen, Ashley. But even better, we have Alanna here joining us again, life path expert and author of Love Made Visible. And you're back to talk to us about how summer vacation can kind of help you with your career path. I always say, Alanna, that it's the vacation blues. When you come back, you realize, I want to make some changes. I want things a little bit different.
I think not everybody even realizes that they want to make changes because they've allowed their holiday to be very separate from their life. They're checked out of their life while they're there. And while, yeah, we want to rest and relax, and I still haven't put my watch back on since I got home. Absolutely, absolutely. No, you know, you need to get to that sort of timeless space where you're really kind of connected to yourself and to the world, if not to the work. But it's possible to bring that back with you. Where people go into the blues is that as soon as their car pulls into the driveway or their plane lands in the airport, then they decide, oh, well, that's over. And you can avoid that depression by bringing the best aspects of yourself from your holiday home with you.
How do you kind of define that line between you live for work or work to live? Live to work to live, sorry.
I define it differently. The subtitle of my book is Values-Driven Approaches to Work/Life as one word. So work and life for me are the same thing. And all of it is just one big opportunity to play and build relationships and learn and contribute in the world. And I don't really experience a difference for myself between how I feel at 5 o'clock on a Friday when I'm supposedly off and how I feel at 8 o'clock on a Monday when I'm supposedly working. If you get to a place where all of it is a natural extension of who you are, and it's just different ways of expressing yourself in the world, and some of these people you're married to or good friends with, and some of them you work with, but they all kind of feel like community to you.
It's all finding a balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you mentioned an inner voice.
Yeah.
What inner voice should we be looking for if we're on vacation and this is kind of the voice that's telling you something needs to change?
I think everybody knows what it is, but what they don't know is how they can access it without it happening to them by accident. We've all had an experience somewhere where you're sort of walking along and you get this nagging sense that you should turn down this street. And you're kind of looking at your watch and you're looking around because you don't know why that, but okay, and down the street you go and you run into an old friend. Or you find some, secondhand shop that has exactly the shelf that you've been looking for whatever. But the thing of it is, people think those are flukes. They think that was a strange accident and they don't know why they felt that calling. But the fact is that could happen to you a dozen times a day if you were open to it, asked for it, learned how to listen for it. And vacation, when there's not so many other voices in our world, when we're maybe out on the water, when we're in the forest, when we're lying on the beach, when we're in some new, entirely exciting environment, being like kids because we have our kids with us, or more often maybe because we don't, you can get to that imaginative place where your head's turned off, which means it's possible to hear your soul.
Okay. What exercises do you have for people that are on vacation to kind of focus and prioritize what they should be looking for?
Well, there's a few things that they can do. I really encourage people, if they can get even just 15 minutes alone, to try and do something fairly contemplative. And maybe it's a walk, and maybe it's kicking up the surf, or maybe it is a formal meditation. There's a number of very good products out there that you can get online or locally pick up at Banyan Books. Johnny O'Connor has a beautiful series of meditations, and one that I really like is called Working on Purpose, which invites you to go into your subconscious and see what your heart would want to do for a living if you didn't know.
I always do what would you do if you won the lottery?
Exactly.
You have to work.
Exactly. If money were no object and you could not fail, what is it that you would do? The problem is that most people first respond to that and go, yeah, well, that's going to happen.
That's true. I was going to say, I'm like, no matter what, we all have responsibilities, and that doesn't really happen.
You have to be able to let that go, and responsibilities can feel like opportunities if you chose them.
So how do you balance it? Because I do that a lot too. You think about that, okay, well, what would I do if I didn't have to worry about money? But we have responsibilities in this world, and sometimes leaving those responsibilities or putting them aside just doesn't work.
Well, it's not about leaving them or putting them aside. It's about allowing another level of consciousness while you're doing those things to show you some things that you might enjoy more, that you might love more, and then, sort of the leap of faith opportunity. The first chapter of my book is called Jump and the Net Will Appear, and that's because I've worked with probably, 8 or 10,000 clients over 12 years. And the change happens when people step into the change before they actually know where they're going. I just came back from walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain, which is this, well, I can't even begin to describe it to you, but it's been a pilgrim's path for many, many centuries. And the beautiful thing about the path is you can never see more than about 500 meters in front of you, because of the way that it wends. And it struck me there that that's such a metaphor for life path. We can only see this far ahead. We try and predict what's around that corner, or if there's a hill or if there's a valley, and we won't move until we know. You're not going to go anywhere from that place. You have to walk through what you can see, visualizing what you hope is around the next bend, and preparing for the very best case next bend. And chances are you can create it if you can get there.
And take a chance. How do you prevent some of your clients to not overanalyze? Because that can get the best of a lot of people. Is the overanalyzing, and you think of every scenario. It almost drives you mad that you're like, I don't even want to make a decision. I'm just going to stick with what I have.
Well, there's a couple ways to do that. Sometimes if they're so analytical that they just can't let it go, I force them into the analysis all the way to the end. Like, what's the very worst thing that could happen here? And usually what they get to is, no one will love me, I'll be completely ashamed, I'll be homeless, and there will be no one there to help me. Go, okay, so when in your life have you ever been stuck and felt like you had no resources, and what did you do? And let's work through what would happen if you lost your job and you lost your family and you found yourself outside. What would you do? And so they start talking about, well, I'm pretty sure there's some outreach organizations, and maybe I'd start collecting cans and bottles, or maybe I would, you know, take some pictures and sell them at the seawall to the tourists. They start coming up with ideas. So I'm saying, so what we're learning here is that the very worst case scenario still has a fix.
Yeah.
So we've got that. That's our plan Z. We put that over in the corner. We're not going there unless we have to. What we've determined here is that you're capable, you're imaginative, you're resilient. So let's focus on that, and now go back to the dream, because you've already figured out the worst thing that's going to happen.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Alanna. Things are never as bad as they seem.
Never.
Love Made Visible in bookstores now at 7:29. You're watching Breakfast Television. We'll be back with more. I'm over now.